The widowed billionaire took his son to school and froze when he discovered that the new teacher was the childhood love he had never forgotten. Before starting the story, leave a comment telling us which city you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story, everyone. Matthew Cross was 33 years old, had $200 million, and absolutely no control over his own son. "Dad, your shirt is inside out." Matthew looked down, checked the collar, the seams, the tag. Everything was in place. "It's not." "It is. And you also have a bug on your shoulder." Matthew slapped his own shoulder so hard that the car swerved half a meter to the left. John burst out laughing in the back seat. "You fell for it twice in 10 seconds. That's a new record. I'm writing it down in my victory notebook." "You have a victory notebook?" "I do. It only has your name in it." The car glided along the coastal road of Santa Barbara at 7:42 in the morning. The Pacific Ocean sparkled on the left. The California sun made everything look like an orange juice commercial, and Matthew gripped the steering wheel as if his life depended on it. "John, one day you're going to use that intelligence to help humanity." "I already do. I keep your ego under control. That's public service." Matthew opened his mouth to reply, but his phone rang. The dashboard showed the name Davidson. He answered on speaker. "Davidson, I'm dropping John off at school. 30 seconds. The chief financial officer's voice came through the speakers as if the man were being chased by bees. "Mr. Cross, the board wants the fourth quarter projection by noon. The investors from Seattle have called 4 times. The marketing team is asking if they can change the logo color again, and your assistant wants to know if you prefer salmon or chicken for lunch. Projection will be ready at 11. Seattle can wait. The logo color stays the same, and chicken." "Understood. Anything else?" "Yes," breathed Davidson. "You're going to pass out." He hung up. John tilted his head, thoughtful. "Dad, why do adults talk like the world is ending every 5 minutes? Because adults forgot how to breathe." "Did you forget too?" "I take yoga classes on Tuesdays." "The class you went to once and never went back to?" "Intention counts." The car pulled into the parking lot of Santa Barbara Coastal School at 7:53. The white building looked like a painting, with large windows, perfectly lined palm trees, and the kind of garden that made any parent feel inadequate for having killed 3 cacti at home. Matthew parked in the spot farthest from the gate. An old habit. Billionaires who park up front attract attention. Billionaires who park far away look like normal parents late for a meeting. "All right, first day of the new semester." He turned off the engine and looked back. "How are you feeling?" John thought for a moment. "Like a science experiment about to be released into the wild." "Is that excitement?" "That's realism." Matthew laughed. He reached out and messed up his son's hair. John immediately fixed every strand with the dignity of an offended senator. "Dad, my hair has structure. Respect it." "Sorry, I forgot you have important commitments." "I do. I need to impress the new teacher. I heard she's nice." "Where did you hear that?" "At the water fountain line yesterday when I came to pick up my supplies." "Information is power, Dad. You should know that." John opened the door, threw his backpack over his shoulder, and stepped out of the car. He took 3 steps, then turned back. "Dad?" "Yes?" "Try not to buy any companies before lunch. It gets awkward when you do." "I can't promise anything." John waved and ran toward the gate, disappearing among colorful backpacks and children far too energetic for that hour of the morning. Matthew stayed in the car for a few more seconds, watching. Only when his son was out of sight did he start the engine and head to the office. The headquarters of Cross Education Technology occupied the 12th floor of a mirrored building in downtown Santa Barbara. Ocean view, minimalist furniture, expensive, carefully selected coffee. Matthew walked through the glass doors at 8:21. "Good morning, Mr. Cross." "Good morning, Rachel." "Good morning, Mr. Cross." "Good morning, Marcus." "Good morning, Mr. Cross." "Good morning, person whose name I don't know yet but will eventually." The new intern stood still, unsure whether to laugh or worry. Matthew entered the meeting room at 8:30. He left at 10:45, answered 17 emails, approved 3 projects, rejected 2. Called Seattle, solved the problem in 12 minutes, and still had time to review the fourth quarter projection before the deadline. At 11:58, He finally allowed himself a break. He sat down in his office chair, turned toward the window. The ocean shimmered below, indifferent to the problems of people who wore suits. The phone vibrated. A message from Santa Barbara Coastal School. Matthew frowned, unlocked the screen. We request the presence of John Cross's guardian for a conversation with the class teacher. Room 7, as soon as possible. He read it 3 times. First day of school. First summons. His son was a genius. And that was not always a compliment. Matthew checked the time. 12:03. If he left now, he would reach the school before the teacher's lunch break ended. He grabbed his keys, told Rachel he would be back in an hour, and went down to the parking garage. The school hallway smelled like crayons and pine disinfectant, a combination that carried any adult back to the age of 8, when the biggest problems in life were dividing decimals and getting a spot in the snack line. Matthew walked slowly, mentally rehearsing the speech he always used when he was called in because of John. I apologize for whatever he did. I'm working on it. He's a good kid, deep down, very deep down. We may need to dig a little to find that part. Room 5. Room 6. Room 7. The door was slightly open. He pushed it gently, and the world stopped. The woman was standing beside the teacher's desk. Brown hair pulled into a loose ponytail, white blouse, blue skirt to the knee, a colorful folder full of papers pressed against her chest. But none of that mattered. What mattered were the eyes. Eyes he would recognize anywhere. In any city, in any life, in any parallel universe scientists had not yet discovered. Lauren Mitchell. The name exploded in his mind like fireworks in slow motion. Lauren Mitchell, his first love, his childhood love. The girl from the summer of 2008. The girl of shared ice creams on the boardwalk, of conversations on the pier until the sun went down, of teenage promises that time took away without asking permission. 15 years. 15 years since the last time he had seen that face. And now, she was there, at his son's school, as his son's teacher. Smiling professionally as if she had not just destroyed 15 years of emotional control in less than 2 seconds. Matthew's right foot decided that this was the perfect moment to forget how to walk. He tripped over his own shoe. His body leaned forward. His hand tried to grab the nearest desk. The desk was a child's desk. The desk tipped over. Pencils flew. A pink pencil case with a unicorn on it hit the floor. Matthew straightened himself at the last second, pretending nothing had happened, while his face turned a shade that competed with the tomatoes from the school garden. Lauren's eyes widened. Matthew? The word came out like a whisper, as if the name were made of glass and might break if she spoke too loudly. Matthew opened his mouth. His brain sent the command to his throat. His throat looked at the command, shrugged, and went on vacation. Me, you, here, teacher, son, yes. 6 words, no complete sentence, no meaning. He, who led meetings with investors from 5 countries, who negotiated million-dollar contracts without blinking, who once convinced an entire board to change its mind in 40 minutes, could not form a sentence in front of a 3rd-grade teacher. Lauren blinked, swallowed hard. Her fingers squeezed the folder so tightly that the paper made a sound. Then she murmured, softly, to herself. But not softly enough. Calm down, Lauren. Breathe. It's just Matthew. The Matthew you haven't seen in 15 years. The Matthew who was your first kiss. The Matthew who now apparently looks even more handsome. Stop talking. Her eyes widened when she realized the last part came out loud. Matthew's eyes widened because he heard it. The silence that followed was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. 3 seconds. 5 seconds. An eternity compressed into a classroom with butterfly drawings on the wall. Then a voice cut through the air like a fire siren. Wow, this is even better than I imagined. John was sitting at the front desk, elbows on the table, chin resting on his hands. The smile of someone who had just found a treasure chest in the backyard. Matthew turned his head so fast his neck cracked. John, how long have you been here? Since the beginning. I saw you trip, knock over Emily's desk, turn red and talk nonsense. He tilted his head. Dad, are you okay? You look like those robots that freeze when the battery dies. I did not freeze. You said me, you hear teacher, son, yes. That's not a sentence. That's a grammatical accident. Lauren let out a laugh. The kind that slips out when someone is too nervous to hold it in. She immediately covered her mouth with her hand. Matthew looked at her. She looked at him. John looked at both of them as if he were watching the best movie of his life. "So," the boy said, stretching the word as if it were chewing gum, "you two know each other, right?" The silence returned. Matthew tried to think of an answer. Any answer. An answer that did not involve revealing that Lauren Mitchell was the girl who made him write 3 terrible poems at 17. Poems he burned, and that no one could ever know had existed. "We went to school together," Lauren said, recovering her professional composure. "A long time ago." "How long ago?" John asked. 15 years. "And were you friends?" Pause. Matthew and Lauren looked at each other, the kind of look that said 1,000 things and nothing at the same time. "Yes," Matthew finally managed to say. "Friends." John narrowed his eyes. The boy was 9 years old, but had the ability to detect lies like a professional investigator. "Friends, I see." He nodded slowly. "And why do you both look like you've seen a ghost?" "We don't," Lauren said too quickly. "Absolutely not." Matthew agreed even faster. "Right," John shrugged. "Then why is Dad holding Emily's unicorn pencil case like it's a shield?" Matthew looked down. He was, in fact, pressing the pink pencil case against his chest as if his life depended on that shiny unicorn. He dropped it as if it were burning. "I was, holding it, to return it." "Of course you were." Lauren cleared her throat, straightened her shoulders, placed the folder on the desk, and folded her hands in front of her. "Mr. Cross, thank you for coming so quickly. I called you because John showed something extraordinary in the first activity of the day." Mr. Cross. She called him Mr. Cross. 15 years earlier, she called him Matt. Only she called him that. And he pretended he didn't like it, but he did. He liked it very much. Matthew swallowed the knot in his throat and sat in the visitor's chair. The chair was too small, made for normal parents, not for men who were 6'1" and didn't know where to put their legs. What did he do? Lauren opened the folder, took out a sheet of paper full of numbers and drawings. "In the first math activity, I asked the students to solve a division problem. Nothing complex. 3rd grade material. And John solved it in 30 seconds. But that's not what caught my attention." "What did then?" Lauren looked at John, then at Matthew, then at John again. "He asked to go to the board, and he spent 20 minutes explaining to the entire class how division works using an analogy with long-term investments and portfolio diversification." Matthew closed his eyes. "John?" "What?" "It worked." Sarah finally understood the concept. She had been lost for weeks. "You explained 3rd grade math using financial market terms?" "I used what I know. It's not my fault I know things." Lauren bit her lip. Matthew knew that gesture. She did it when she was trying not to laugh. "Mr. Cross, your son is brilliant, but he may need additional stimulation." "Additional stimulation?" "Challenges, special projects, something to keep his mind constructively occupied." John raised his hand. "I have a suggestion." "What is it?" Lauren asked. "You could come to the school more often to follow my progress, closely." Matthew choked on his own breath. Lauren turned red. John smiled the smile of someone who knew exactly what he was doing. "What? It's just a pedagogical suggestion. I read about it in an article." "What article?" "An article, on the internet, about parental involvement. Very educational." Matthew stood up so fast that the chair scraped the floor with a terrible noise. "Well, thank you for the information, Miss Mitchell. I will consider the additional stimulation, and I will talk to John about age-appropriate analogies." "Portfolio diversification is appropriate at any age," John protested. "John." "All right." Silence. "Understood." Matthew turned toward the door. He needed to leave. He needed to breathe. He needed to process the fact that Lauren Mitchell was back in his life, wearing a white blouse and smiling in a way that made his stomach flip as if he were 17 again. "Mr. Cross?" He stopped, turned. Lauren was standing, the folder once again pressed against her chest. "It was good to see you again." Her voice was soft, sincere, and for 1 second, just 1 second, she was not Miss Mitchell, the 3rd grade teacher. She was Lauren, his Lauren, the Lauren from 15 years ago. Matthew felt his chest tighten. "It was good to see you too." He left. He walked down the hallway. He passed by room 6, room 5, the front office, the main gate. Only when he reached the car did he realize he was still holding Emily's unicorn pencil case. At that exact moment, his phone vibrated. A message from John. "Dad, you forgot to return the pencil case. You also forgot to close your mouth when Miss Mitchell said you looked handsome. and you forgot to hide that you were staring at her. Basically, you forgot everything. But don't worry, I will help you." Matthew stared at the message. A second message arrived. "This is going to be the best semester of my life." He rested his head against the steering wheel, and for the first time in years, the billionaire who controlled a $200 million company had no idea what to do. John woke up humming. That was never a good sign. Matthew was in the kitchen at 6:45, making coffee and trying not to think about Lauren Mitchell. Trying not to think about her eyes, her smile, her voice saying he looked handsome. He was failing miserably. "Good morning, Dad." John came down the stairs with his backpack already on his shoulder, his hair perfectly arranged, and a smile that promised trouble. "Why are you up so early?" "I'm excited for school." "You are never excited for school." "People change, Dad. Personal growth." Matthew narrowed his eyes. "What are you planning?" "Nothing. I just want to learn. Education is important." John grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl and froze mid-bite. His eyes dropped to the counter. "Dad?" "Yes?" "Why is Emily's pencil case still here?" Matthew looked at the counter. The unicorn pencil case shone like a pink, glittery accusation. "I was going to leave it at the office today. Emily is my friend, Dad. My best friend. She was worried yesterday. Sparkle is her pet unicorn." "The pencil case has a name?" "The unicorn on the pencil case has a name. Sparkle. She talks to him during recess." Matthew rubbed his face. "All right, take the pencil case to her when we get to school." "I can't." "Why not?" "Because I wasn't the one who picked up the pencil case. You were. You have to return it personally." "John, that's ridiculous." "It's not. It's about responsibility. You taught me that." "I taught you responsibility, not emotional bureaucracy with unicorn pencil cases." John shrugged. "Besides, Emily will want to say thank you. She's polite. If I deliver it, she'll thank the wrong person. That's confusing for a 9-year-old. You're 9 too." "I'm advanced for my age. Emily is sensitive. Different things." Matthew took a deep breath. "Fine, I'll drop it at the office and ask them to pass it on." The office only opens at 8:15. Class starts at 8. Emily will spend 15 minutes thinking she lost Sparkle forever. 15 minutes is a long time in a child's life. "John, Dad." They stared at each other for 5 seconds. "You want me to go to Miss Mitchell's classroom, don't you?" John widened his eyes with completely manufactured innocence. "Me? Want that?" "Dad, I'm just thinking about Emily. She's my friend. Friends take care of each other." "And the fact that Miss Mitchell is in the classroom is just a coincidence?" "Total coincidence. Absolute. Complete." Matthew knew he was being manipulated. He knew it with every fiber of his being as an experienced CEO in negotiations, but John's smile was too convincing. "Let's go," he said, grabbing the keys. "You're going to be late." The drive to school was filled with apparently innocent information. "Dad, did you know Miss Mitchell likes lilies? She has a vase on her desk." "How do you know that?" "Observation." Silence. "Dad, Miss Mitchell arrived in Santa Barbara 3 months ago. She came from San Francisco. Why are you telling me this?" "Context. Context is important to understand people." More silence. "Dad, Emily said Miss Mitchell doesn't have a ring on her finger." Matthew almost drove onto the curb. "John, stop." "Stop what? These are just facts. Objective information." The car stopped in the parking lot at 7:52. John opened the door and got out. He turned back. "Are you coming?" "I'll wait here. You take the pencil case." "Dad, we already talked about this. It's your responsibility. And I already said you can take it. And I already said that wouldn't be right." "John, get back in this car and take the pencil case." "No." "What do you mean, no?" "No, it's a complete word. 3 letters. It means refusal. You taught me to have convictions." "I taught you to have convictions about important things. Emily's happiness is important, and yours too." Matthew blinked. "What does my happiness have to do with this?" John smiled. That smile. "Nothing." "Bye, Dad. Emily is waiting for Sparkle." He ran toward the gate. Matthew was alone in the car, holding a pink unicorn pencil case, feeling like he had just lost a negotiation to a 9-year-old child. 5 minutes later, he was in the school hallway. Room 5, Room 6, Room 7. The door was closed. Through the small glass window, he saw Lauren at the front of the room, explaining something with animated gestures. 20 children were paying attention. John was in the front row, looking straight at the door, waiting. Matthew knocked. All the heads turned. Lauren stopped in the middle of her sentence. walked to the door, opened it slightly. "Mr. Cross?" "Good morning. Sorry to interrupt. I came to return Emily's pencil case." He raised the unicorn. From the back of the room, a thin voice shouted, "Sparkle!" Lauren looked at the pencil case, looked at Matthew, looked at John, who was studying the ceiling with exaggerated scientific interest. "One moment, class." She stepped into the hallway and closed the door. "You came in person to return a pencil case?" John refused to deliver it. He refused? He said it was my responsibility, that if I picked it up, I should return it. Lauren bit her lip. He said that? In those words, and about 15 more sentences about context, convictions, and the happiness of 9-year-old children. "I see." "You see? He set you up to come here." "I know. And you came anyway." "Emily is his friend. I wasn't going to leave her without the pencil case because of..." He stopped. "Because of what?" "Because of you. Because seeing you makes me nervous like a teenager. Because of 15 years of unsaid things. Because of logistics," he finished. Lauren nodded slowly. "Logistics. Exactly," she murmured softly, almost inaudible. "He came for logistics. Of course, that makes perfect sense. Stop smiling, Lauren. Stop." "I heard that." She closed her eyes. "That habit is going to ruin me." "I think it's charming." "You do?" "I always have." The door opened. John stuck his head out. "Miss Mitchell, Emily wants to know if Sparkle is okay. She's worried about his emotional state after a night away from home." Lauren composed herself. "Tell her Sparkle is just fine and will be back shortly." "I will." John looked at his father. "Dad, thank you for being responsible. Emily will be happy." "You're welcome, John, and thank you for overcoming your fears and coming here even knowing you would meet Miss Mitchell." "I don't have fears." "Everyone has fears, Dad. Yours are just more obvious." He disappeared back into the classroom. Lauren was holding back laughter. "Your son is incredible." "My son is a professional strategist disguised as a child." "Both." She took the pencil case. Their fingers touched for a second. 1 second was enough. "Thank you for bringing it." "You're welcome." "Matthew?" His name and her voice. 15 years, and it still had the same effect. "Yes? It was good to see you." "It was good to see you too." She went back into the classroom. Matthew walked back to the car floating. The phone vibrated. A message from John. "Emily said thank you. The whole class saw you in the hallway. Lucas asked if you were the teacher's boyfriend. I said not yet." T-word, yet. "I have plans for tomorrow. Wait for instructions." Matthew stared at the message. His 9-year-old son had a schedule, and he was completely at the mercy of a child with a plan and zero intention of stopping. Matthew showed up at the school for the 3rd day in a row, this time holding a lunchbox. A lunchbox he had prepared himself at 6 in the morning, pretending it was a normal thing to do, pretending he had not woken up thinking of an excuse to return to that hallway. John was in the back seat watching him through the rearview mirror with the look of an experienced detective. "Dad?" "Yes? That is a lunchbox." "It is. You made my lunch." "I did." "You never make my lunch. The school has a cafeteria. You pay the cafeteria." "Today I wanted to do something different." "Different?" "Yes." John tilted his head. "What's inside?" "A sandwich." "What kind?" "Ham and cheese." "Dad, I don't like ham." Matthew tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Since when?" "Since always. You know that. You did it on purpose." "I did not do it on purpose." "You did. You made a sandwich I won't eat so you'd have an excuse to come back to the school and switch it." "That's ridiculous." "That's strategy. Bad strategy, but strategy." The car stopped in the parking lot. John opened the door, grabbed his backpack, and got out. He took 3 steps and turned around. "Dad?" "Yes?" "You forgot to give me the lunchbox." Matthew looked at the passenger seat. The lunchbox was there, untouched. "Oh, here." He reached out his arm. John did not move. "No." "What do you mean, no?" "I'm not taking a lunchbox with ham. That would be food dishonesty. Food dishonesty does not exist. It just did. I invented it." "John, take the lunchbox." "No." "Dad?" They stared at each other for 5 seconds. "You are doing this on purpose." "Rep me?" John widened his eyes. "I'm just being consistent with my nutritional principles." "You ate 3 slices of cold pizza for breakfast yesterday." "That was different. Pizza is universal. Ham is personal." Matthew took a deep breath. "If you don't take the lunchbox, I'll have to go in there and deliver it." John smiled. That smile. "What a shame, Dad. What a real shame." He turned and ran toward the gate. Matthew was left alone in the car, holding a ham lunchbox, knowing exactly what had just happened. He had been manipulated, again, by a 9-year-old child. 15 minutes later, he was in the school hallway. The place was busy. Parents saying goodbye, children running, teachers organizing lines. Matthew walked slowly, holding the lunchbox as if it were an alien object. And then he saw her. Lauren was standing in the hallway, her back turned, organizing papers in a folder, her hair tied in a messy bun, a pen behind her ear. She was murmuring, "You're not going to look at the door. You're not. He's not going to show up 3 days in a row. That would be crazy. No one shows up 3 days in a row. Stop thinking about him. Focus on the papers. Papers are important. Papers don't have nice eyes. Stop." Matthew stopped 2 meters behind her. "Do I have nice eyes?" Lauren spun around so fast that the folder flew. Papers scattered across the floor like confetti in slow motion. They both stood there, staring at the mess. "I'm going to pretend you didn't hear that," Lauren said. "I'm going to pretend that I'm going to pretend," Matthew replied. He bent down to help pick them up. She bent down at the same moment. Their heads collided. "Ow. Sorry. No, sorry. I came from behind. I was talking to myself." They stared at each other, crouched on the floor, surrounded by papers, their foreheads probably red. A child ran by and shouted, "Miss Mitchell and John's dad are dating on the floor." Lauren stood up so fast she almost fell again. "We're not dating." "It's just a meeting," Matthew added, also standing up. "About papers," Lauren said. "That fell," Matthew said, "by accident." Total accident. The child was already gone, but 2 mothers were standing at the end of the hallway, watching with curious smiles. Lauren gathered the papers any way she could and pressed them against her chest. "Mr. Cross, what are you doing here?" Matthew raised the lunchbox. "John forgot his lunch." "Forgot? In the car? The lunch you never make because the school has a cafeteria?" Matthew felt his ear get warm. "It's a special situation." "What situation?" "Nutritional. He needs specific nutrients." "What nutrients?" "Ham." Lauren blinked. "Ham. It's important for growth." "John doesn't like ham. He told me yesterday it's the only thing he doesn't eat." Matthew wanted to disappear. "He said that?" "In detail. He said you've known that since he was 4 and spat ham on your suit during a family meeting. That suit was new, I imagine." The silence fell. Heavy. Awkward. Lauren looked around. The mothers were still watching. "So you came to bring a lunch your son didn't forget but refused to take, with a sandwich he doesn't eat, just to have an excuse to show up here. When you say it like that, it sounds pathetic." "Does it?" "Very." Lauren bit her lip. Her eyes were shining. "Matthew, you're a billionaire CEO. You negotiate $1 million contracts. You talk to international investors." "I know. And the best excuse you came up with was a ham lunchbox?" I panicked. "At 6 a.m? I wake up panicked." Lauren laughed, the kind of laugh she tried to hold back and couldn't. Matthew felt his chest tighten in a good way. "I'm terrible at this," he admitted. "At what?" "This. Talking. To you. Without sounding like an idiot." "You don't sound like an idiot. I brought a ham lunchbox to a son who doesn't eat ham." "Okay, maybe a little idiot. Thank you for your honesty." Lauren took a step closer, lowered her voice. "Matthew, if you want to actually talk, without lunchbox excuses, I get off at 3:30. His heart stopped. "Is that an invitation?" "That's information. What you do with it is your problem." She smiled, turned, walked toward room 7. At the door, she stopped. "And Matthew?" "Yes?" "Next time, try a turkey sandwich. John likes turkey." She disappeared into the classroom. Matthew stood in the hallway, holding the useless lunchbox, feeling the world spin. The phone vibrated. A message from John. "Dad, you've been standing in the hallway for 2 minutes with a silly face. The moms are talking. Move." He looked down the hallway. The mothers waved. Matthew practically ran out. 3:30. She got off at 3:30. And he had exactly 7 hours to figure out whether he still remembered how to invite someone for coffee. 3:30 arrived far too fast. Matthew spent the entire day at the office pretending to work. He read the same email 7 times, signed a document without reading it, almost approved a logo change that turned the letter C into a pineapple. Davidson asked if he was okay. Matthew said yes. His ear turned red. At 3:15, he was parked in front of the school, 15 minutes early, feeling like a teenager before a first date. This was not a date. It was just a conversation. A conversation with someone from the past who suddenly felt very present. Matthew did not expect this. After Sarah passed away 3 years earlier, he had convinced himself that this part of life was over. He had been happy, very happy. Sarah was incredible, and the 7 years they spent together were the best he could imagine. She gave him John, she gave him a family, and then she was gone. Too fast, without warning. And Matthew learned to live on autopilot. Work. John. Home. Repeat. Until Lauren appeared in room 7 holding a unicorn folder. Now he didn't know anything anymore. The bell rang at 3:25. Children began to pour out in colorful waves of backpacks and shouts. Matthew searched for John in the crowd. He found him. John was standing by the main door, talking to Lauren. The two were laughing about something. Matthew got out of the car and walked toward them. John saw him first. "Code Red," the boy said, loud enough for Lauren to hear. "What is Code Red?" she asked. Dad approaching, nervous posture, hands in pockets, avoiding eye contact. Matthew stopped in front of them. "I do not avoid eye contact." "Yes, you do. You look at Miss Mitchell, then at the ground, then at her again. It's a pattern. That's called being polite, not staring at people. That's called being nervous. I studied body language on the internet." Lauren covered her mouth to hide her laughter. Matthew looked at her. "Sorry about him." "No need. It's the best part of my day." John raised his hand. "Thank you. I make an effort." A mother walked past them and waved at Lauren, then looked at Matthew, then at Lauren again, smiled in a way that said a lot and walked away. "The mothers at this school are very observant," Matthew commented. "They have a message group," John informed him. "I know because Emily told me. Apparently you are a frequent topic." "Me?" "You, the handsome widowed dad who shows up every day with different excuses." The air grew heavy for a second. Lauren looked at Matthew with something different in her eyes. Something softer. "John?" Matthew said quietly. "What? It's true. They also say you're dedicated, and that Mom would be proud of you." Matthew felt his chest tighten. John spoke about his mother naturally, without exaggerated pain, without drama. Sarah had taught him that in the last months they had together, that remembering didn't have to be sad. "All right," John continued, breaking the moment. "I'll wait in the car. You two need to talk about adult things." "What adult things?" "I don't know. That's why I'll wait in the car." He took the keys Matthew automatically held out. "But you have 10 minutes. After that, I start honking." He walked away. Matthew and Lauren were alone. The courtyard was emptying. Some children were still running. Some parents talked near their cars. But there, on that stretch of sidewalk, it felt like only the two of them existed. "He's incredible," Lauren said. "He's terrible. Both. Definitely." They started walking slowly through the courtyard. No direction. No hurry. "I'm sorry," Lauren said softly, "for what happened." "Thank you. It was 3 years ago. Too fast." "John seems to handle it well. He handles it better than I do, actually. Sarah taught him to remember with joy. I'm still learning." Lauren nodded. She sounds like she was a special person. She was. The best. Matthew took a deep breath. I was very happy with her. Very happy. And for a while, I thought that part of my life had ended with her. And now? Matthew looked at Lauren. Now I don't know anymore. The silence that followed was not awkward. It was full of things. Lauren murmured softly. "Don't turn red, Lauren. Breathe. He just said he doesn't know. That doesn't mean anything. Stop interpreting. I heard that." She closed her eyes. "That habit is going to be my downfall." "I like that habit. You liked it 15 years ago too." "Some things don't change." Lauren opened her eyes, looked at him for real. "Matthew, what is happening here?" "Honestly, I don't know. I know you were my best friend before you were anything else. I know losing you was hard. I know I built an entire life after that, a good life, a life I loved. And now? Now you show up at my son's school with a colorful folder, and I can't stop inventing excuses to see you." Lauren smiled, small, almost shy. "Excuses like ham lunchboxes? Exactly like ham lunchboxes. You know, you could have just invited me for coffee." "I know, but apparently I lost that skill somewhere over the past few years." Lauren laughed. "Then let me make it easier. Tomorrow, 7 in the morning, the corner bakery. I'll be there." Matthew blinked. "Is that an invitation?" "That's information. What you do with it is your problem. You're using my future line before I get to use it." "I'm faster." A horn sounded in the distance. They both looked toward the parking lot. John was leaning out the car window, waving. 9 minutes, he shouted. I'm being generous. Lauren laughed. I think our time is up. For today. For today. Matthew took a step back. Tomorrow then. Tomorrow. 7 in the morning. I don't work well early, but I'll make an effort. I remember you didn't work well early. Some things don't change. Another horn, longer this time. I need to go before he wakes up the whole neighborhood, Matthew said. Go, I'll see you tomorrow. He walked to the car, opened the door, and looked back one last time. Lauren was still standing in the same place, smiling. Dad, John said when he got in, you're smiling like an idiot. I'm not. You are. And your ears are red, both of them. Matthew started the car. How was it? John asked. It was good. Good like friendship good, or good like more than friendship good? Good like I'm still figuring it out. John nodded, satisfied. Progress. He buckled his seatbelt. Mom would like her, you know. Matthew felt his chest tighten in a different way. Not pain, something lighter. You think so? I'm sure. Mom always said you needed someone who made you laugh. Miss Mitchell makes you laugh. She does? And she also makes you turn red, trip over desks, and talk nonsense. But the laughter is the most important part. Matthew looked at his son in the rearview mirror. When did you get so smart? I was always smart, Dad. You were just too distracted to notice. They drove home in silence. Tomorrow, 7 in the morning, a corner bakery. And for the first time in 3 years, Matthew felt that maybe, just maybe, starting over was possible. Breakfast at the bakery never happened. At 6:45, Matthew received an emergency call. The Seattle investors had moved the meeting up to 7, mandatory video conference, no possibility of rescheduling. He sent Lauren a message explaining. She replied with a thumbs-up emoji and a no problem. But there was a problem. Matthew spent the entire meeting thinking about the coffee he didn't drink, the conversation he didn't have, the smile he didn't see. John noticed on the way to school. Dad, you look like a sad puppy. I do not. You do. Did something happen with Miss Mitchell? Nothing happened. That's the problem. John nodded as if he perfectly understood the complexity of the situation. Adults make everything complicated. 3 days passed. Matthew did not show up at the school. Meetings, contracts, investors, CEO life did not forgive. He sent short messages to Lauren. She replied with equally short messages. Polite, distant. The moment had passed, or at least that's what he thought. On Thursday, John came home with a crumpled paper in his backpack. Dad, the school needs volunteers to organize the science fair decorations. On Saturday. Saturday I have reports to review. Miss Mitchell will be there. Matthew looked at the paper. What time? 9 in the morning. I'll go. John smiled. I knew you'd say that. Saturday arrived sunny and warm. Matthew showed up at the school at 8:55, wearing jeans and a blue shirt that John had approved after rejecting 4 other options. Dad, you're not going to a business meeting. Relax. I am relaxed. You changed shirts 5 times. I was undecided. You were nervous. Both. The school gym had been turned into a construction zone. Tables scattered, cardboard boxes, rolls of crepe paper, half-finished posters. About 10 parents moved around carrying things. And at the center of it all, holding a list and looking slightly overwhelmed, was Lauren. She was wearing a white t-shirt, jeans, and sneakers, her hair tied in a high ponytail. No makeup. Completely different from the formal teacher of the weekdays. Completely beautiful. Matthew stopped at the door. Lauren looked up, saw-hailed. Mr. Cross, what a surprise. John said you needed volunteers. John said that, did he? He was very convincing. I can imagine. She walked toward him, holding the list. Since you're here, I have a special mission. Special mission? The background panels need to be set up on the stage. There are 6 wooden structures, heavy ones. I was going to ask Mr. Morrison to help, but he's busy with the balloons. I can help. Are you sure? It's physical work. I go to the gym 3 times a week. The gym you went to once and never went back to? John told me that too. Matthew closed his eyes. My son is a traitor. Your son is a very valuable source of information. They walked to the stage together. The panels were leaning against the back wall. Big, heavy, painted with planets and stars. The theme of the fair was the solar system. We need to place 3 on each side, Lauren explained. Then secure them with these clips. Sounds simple. It sounds simple, but the panels have a mind of their own. She was not joking. The first panel slipped twice. The second almost fell on Matthew. The third stood crooked 5 times before finally cooperating. "This is harder than closing a contract with the Japanese," Matthew said, out of breath. "You close contracts with the Japanese?" "I closed one last month. It was easier than the Saturn panel." Lauren laughed. "You're exaggerating. The Japanese didn't try to knock me over." They worked side by side for almost an hour, talking, laughing, arguing about the best position for Jupiter, disagreeing about whether Pluto should be included. "Pluto is a planet," Matthew insisted. "Pluto was downgraded in 2006. That was a cosmic injustice. That was science. Unfair science." Lauren shook her head, smiling. "You're stubborn. So are you." "I know. That's why we're good opponents." On the other side of the gym, John was watching, sitting on a plastic chair. Emily was next to him, sharing a package of cookies. "Are they flirting?" Emily asked. "They're trying. Adults are slow." "My mom said your dad is handsome." "I know, everyone says that. It's embarrassing." "Miss Mitchell thinks so too. She turns red when he shows up." "I know that too. So why don't they just start dating?" John sighed. "Because adults need 500 steps before doing anything. It's exhausting to watch." On the stage, Matthew and Lauren had finished the panels. They stood side by side, admiring the work, their shoulders almost touching, the noisy gym around them, but there, in that corner, it felt like a bubble of silence. "It looks good," Lauren said. "It does. Thank you for the help." "You're welcome." She turned to him, her brown eyes shining. "Matthew, about the coffee that didn't happen? I wanted to go." "I know, I wanted to go too. Can we try again?" Lauren opened her mouth to answer. "Miss Mitchell." A mother appeared out of nowhere, waving frantically. The balloons popped, all of them. "We need help." Lauren closed her eyes for a second. "I'll be right there." She looked at Matthew. "We need to finish this conversation." "We do. But right now I have a balloon crisis." "I understand. Balloons are serious. You're being sarcastic." "Just a little." She smiled, touched his arm for a second. "Just 1 second. Later." Later. She ran off toward the balloon disaster. Matthew stood on the stage, feeling his arm tingle where she had touched him. John appeared beside him. "Let me guess, something almost happened and someone interrupted." "How do you know?" "Because that always happens. You two are professionals at almost." "It's not on purpose." "I know, but it's getting frustrating to watch." Matthew looked at his son. "Frustrating for who?" "For everyone. Emily has already asked 3 times when you're going to date. I don't know what to answer anymore." "Tell her it's complicated." "Dad, with all respect, it's not complicated. You like her. She likes you. The rest is excuses." Matthew stared at the 9-year-old boy who somehow understood relationships better than he did. "When did you get so wise?" "I watch a lot of things, and I pay attention." On the other side of the gym, Lauren looked back. Their eyes met. She smiled. He smiled back. John rolled his eyes. "I'm going back to the cookies. Let me know when you decide to act like functional adults." He walked away. Matthew kept looking at Lauren. Then he promised himself. This time he would finish the conversation, no matter what. The bathroom mirror did not lie, and Lauren hated that. It was 11 o'clock on Saturday night. She was in pajamas, hair messy, cream on her face, staring at her own reflection as if it were an opponent in a courtroom. "You are a professional," she said to the mirror, "an educator, an adult, independent woman." The reflection did not look convinced. "He's a student's father, a student's father. That goes against all the rules." She pointed at herself. "What rules exactly?" "The rules, the general rules, the rules of common sense. There isn't any written rule about this. There should be." Lauren rested her hands on the sink and took a deep breath. "All right, let's analyze the facts. Fact 1, Matthew Cross is handsome." The reflection agreed. Fact 2, he is kind, funny, and looks at you in a way that makes your stomach flip. The reflection kept agreeing. Fact 3, he has a son in your class, a son you see every day, a son who is probably planning your wedding at this exact moment. She groaned. Why did this have to happen to me? Why couldn't he be a normal parent? A boring parent, dull, who wears socks with sandals? Silence. It had to be him. The boy from the pier. The first kiss. The one who disappeared and came back 15 years later, even more handsome, now widowed, with an adorable son who acts like a miniature Cupid. Lauren pressed her forehead against the mirror. You are going to keep your distance. You will be polite, professional, and distant. No lingering smiles, no hallway conversations, no turning red when he shows up. She straightened up, looked at her reflection with determination. Starting Monday, Matthew Cross is just another parent. Understood? The reflection did not answer. Understood? Nothing. Great, at least one of us is convinced. She turned off the light and went to bed. Monday arrived gray and cold. Lauren woke up at 6, had black coffee, chose the most serious outfit she owned, beige blazer, dress pants, zero fun accessories, and went to school determined to be a fortress of professionalism. At 7:40, she was organizing the desks when she heard knocking at the door. She turned. Matthew was standing there. No lunchbox, no pencil case, no forgotten jacket, just him, with a crooked smile. "Good morning." Lauren blinked. "Good morning. Can I help you with something?" No, I didn't come to bring anything. I didn't come to return anything. I didn't come with an excuse." "Then why did you come?" "Matthew stepped into the classroom because I wanted to see you." The words hung in the air. Lauren felt the blazer tighten, the professionalism waver, the entire fortress shake. "Matthew, I know it's complicated. I know you're John's teacher. I know there are rules, limits, common sense. Exactly. But I also know I spent the whole weekend thinking about you, and I woke up today wanting to see you. No excuses, no strategies, just that." Lauren opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. She murmured softly, "Don't turn red. Don't turn red. Don't turn red." "You're turning red," Matthew observed. "I know. Thank you for pointing it out." "Sorry. No, it's fine. It's just that." She took a deep breath. "I spent all of Saturday talking to my mirror about keeping my distance. With your mirror? It's a habit." "I know. It's charming." "Stop saying it's charming." "Why?" "Because it makes the plan harder." "What plan?" "The plan to keep my distance, to be professional, to not let this turn into something." Matthew tilted his head. "You don't want this to turn into something?" Lauren hesitated. It was the question she had avoided all night, the question the mirror couldn't answer. "I don't know what I want," she admitted. "I know you're a student's father. I know people will talk. I know this could complicate everything. And I know that every time you show up, I forget all those arguments." Matthew smiled, not the crooked smile from before, a real one, open. "Then we're the same." "The same? I also have a list of arguments, and I also forget all of them when I see you." The silence that followed was different. Not awkward, not tense. Something lighter. Warmer. "Matthew, this isn't sensible." "I know. Sensible people don't do this." "Probably not." "John is going to lose his mind." "John already did. He has a 12-step plan. He showed me yesterday." Lauren laughed, the kind of laugh that escapes when you give up trying to control it. 12 steps? With a timeline and goals. He's very organized. He's your son. Thankfully. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Children's voices were getting closer. Lauren looked at the door. "Class is about to start." "I know. You need to go." "I know." "Matthew? Lauren?" They looked at each other for 3 seconds. 4, 5. "Dinner," Matthew said. "Friday, just the two of us." "Is that an invitation?" "That's a request. Official, no lunchboxes, pencil cases, or Saturn panels. Friday I have..." She stopped. Thought. She had nothing. All right. Matthew's smile could have lit up the entire gym. "I'll pick you up at 7. "At 7. Wear something comfortable." "Where are we going?" "Surprise." "I don't like surprises." "You'll like this one." Children began entering the classroom. John in front, obviously. He looked at his dad, looked at Lauren, looked at his dad again. "Did something happen?" "Nothing," Matthew said. "Nothing," Lauren confirmed. John narrowed his eyes. "You're both smiling at the same time. That's suspicious." "Go sit down, John," Lauren said. "I will, but I expect a full report later." Matthew took a step back. "Friday," he repeated softly. "Friday," Lauren replied. He walked out. John sat at his desk and turned around to where Emily was waiting, eyes curious. "I think it worked," he whispered. "What worked?" "The plan. Phase 7 is done." "You're already on Phase 7? "I am. 5 more to go." Emily's eyes widened. "Does your dad know about the plan?" John smiled. "He thinks he does, but he doesn't know everything." At the front of the room, Lauren tried to focus on the board. Friday, a dinner, a surprise, and the absolute certainty that the wall of professionalism had just completely crumbled. The note showed up on Lauren's desk at 8:15 on Tuesday morning, folded in 4. Neat handwriting, like a child's, a heart drawn in the corner. Miss Mitchell, my dad needs to speak with you about my academic performance. It's urgent. He'll be at the gate at 3:30. Signed, John Cross. P.S. Don't tell him I sent this. Lauren read it 3 times. She put the note in her pocket and waited. At 3:32, Matthew showed up at the gate, looking confused. You got a note too? He asked. Lauren blinked. 2? Matthew pulled a paper from his pocket. Same childlike writing, same heart in the corner. Dad, Miss Mitchell wants to talk to you about my academic performance. It's urgent. She'll be at the gate at 3:30. Signed, School Secretary. P.S. Don't tell her you got this. Lauren laughed. He signed it as the school secretary. He's 9 and already fakes documents. Is that concerning or impressive? Both. They looked at each other, the absurdity of the situation hanging between them. So, Matthew said, there's no academic emergency. Apparently not. We were summoned by a fake note, with hearts drawn on them. The hearts are a nice touch, quite delicate. John appeared out of nowhere, backpack on, innocent smile on his face. Hi, Dad. Hi, Miss Mitchell. What a coincidence you're both here, together, in the same place. Matthew crossed his arms. John? Yes? The notes. What notes? The ones you sent pretending to be the secretary. John's eyes widened. Dad, that's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Matthew showed him the paper. John examined it with academic interest. Looks like a kid's handwriting. It's your handwriting. A lot of kids write like that. This proves nothing. Lauren covered her mouth to keep from laughing. John, the note has the exact same heart you drew on my Teacher's Day card. John went quiet for 2 seconds. Okay, it was me. Why? Matthew asked. Because you two are too slow. Friday's still far away. I needed more data before dinner. What data? Data on compatibility, conversation time, smile frequency, ear redness level. You're collecting data on us? Someone has to. You clearly aren't paying attention. Lauren turned red. Matthew turned red. John took a small notebook from his pocket and jotted something down. Simultaneous blushing. Interesting. Phase 8 complete. Phase 8? Matthew asked. Confirmation of mutual interest through involuntary reactions. It was on the timeline. John put that notebook away. I can't. I'm documenting. Documenting what? The progress. For the final report. What final report? The one I'll show you at the wedding. Lauren choked. Matthew choked even harder. John kept writing. 2 choking reactions. Also interesting. No one mentioned a wedding, Matthew said. Not yet. But Friday's just the beginning. I have projections through phase 12. You're 9 years old, and I have a strong sense of future planning. Lauren took a deep breath. John, about Friday's dinner. I already know everything. My dad's picking you up at 7. He booked an Italian restaurant on the pier, asked for the corner table with an ocean view, and bought a new shirt because Emily said blue matches his eyes. Matthew closed his eyes. How do you know all that? You left your computer open, you talk to yourself when you're nervous, and you called the restaurant on speakerphone while I pretended to sleep on the couch. You were awake? I'm always awake when important information is being shared. Lauren looked at Matthew. Italian restaurant? It was supposed to be a surprise. It was. Not anymore. John put his notebook away. You're welcome. Surprises cause anxiety. I removed the anxiety. It's a favor. It's a privacy invasion. Matthew said, it's reverse parental care. That's not a thing. It is now. I just invented it. The silence lasted 3 seconds. Lauren was the first to laugh. Softly at first, then louder. Matthew held out for 2 seconds, then gave in. John watched them laughing together side by side at the school gate and smiled with satisfaction. This, he said, this is exactly what I wanted to see. What? Lauren asked, wiping her eyes. You two, laughing, together. No running away, no dodging, no making up excuses. Matthew looked at Lauren. Lauren looked at Matthew. John was right. For the first time, they were there, fully present, unafraid. So, Matthew said, now that the surprise is ruined, can I at least confirm the details? You can. Friday, 7 o'clock, Italian restaurant on the pier. Ocean view. Perfect. Wear something comfortable, but nice, but comfortable. That's contradictory. I know, but you'll understand when we get there. John cleared his throat. Can I suggest the blue dress? It matches my dad's new shirt. How do you know I have a blue dress? Emily told me. You two talked about clothes at the parent meeting last month. You have spies? I have reliable sources. It's different. Matthew shook his head. My son created a child intelligence network. Romantic support network, John corrected. Sounds better. A horn honked in the distance. That's Emily's mom's car, John said. She's taking me out for a snack. Phase 9 of the plan. Give adults space to talk without supervision. There's a phase for that. There's a phase for everything, Dad. I'm organized. He waved and ran off. Matthew and Lauren were left alone. So, she said, Italian. You like Italian? I love Italian. I remembered that. You remembered? You ordered spaghetti at every single one of our dates on the pier. No exception. Lauren felt her chest tighten. You remember the pier dates? I remember everything, Lauren. The breeze blew gently, the sound of children faded, and there at the school gate, something shifted. Matthew? Yes? I'm nervous. Me too. Is that good or bad? I think it's good. It means it matters. Lauren smiled. It matters, a lot. So Friday. And after Friday, we'll figure it out together. Matthew reached out his hand. Lauren took it. Their fingers intertwined for 3 seconds. Just 3. But it was enough. From Emily's mom's car, John watched through the window. He smiled, pulled out his notebook, and wrote, Still phase 9, initial physical contact. Successfully completed. Friday is going to be perfect. And underneath in larger letters, phase 10, controlled public exposure. This would be the biggest challenge of all. The Santa Barbara Coastal School gym looked like a science lab had exploded. Foaming baking soda volcanoes, styrofoam solar systems swaying, a model of the human body blinking in a disturbing way, and 200 people walking between tables, tripping over cords, pretending to understand projects about photosynthesis. Matthew arrived at 9:12 on Friday, holding a coffee that was already cold and an anxiety that was very warm. Tonight, dinner, Lauren, Italian restaurant. But first the science fair. He searched for John's table in the chaos, found it in the back row, near the window, with a small crowd gathered around. This couldn't be good. Matthew walked up slowly, read the project sign, and stopped breathing. Behavioral analysis. Why adults take so long to make obvious decisions. A real case study. The project had colorful graphs, a laptop showing slides, printed photos, and 2 stick figures labeled Subject A and Subject B with a red heart between them. John stood next to the table, wearing a blue bow tie and holding a laser pointer. As you can see in Graph 3, he explained to a group of fascinated parents, Subject A's ear redness increased progressively with each meeting with Subject B. This indicates rising romantic interest. A mother raised her hand. Who are Subjects A and B? Confidential information, but I can say one of them is walking over now looking like he wants to ground me. Everyone turned. Matthew stood 3 steps away, mouth open, coffee forgotten in his hand. John, Dad, great timing. You're just in time for the data analysis in Chapter 4. Chapter 4? The chapter on denial, when the subjects pretend they feel nothing while clearly feeling everything. A wave of laughter followed. Matthew felt his face heat up. John, we need to talk. Not now, Dad. I'm in the middle of a science presentation. Science doesn't wait. Lauren appeared next to Matthew. She wore a floral dress and carried an evaluation clipboard. What's going on here? My son's project, Matthew said through gritted teeth. About us. Lauren looked at the table. She saw the charts. She saw the stick figures. She saw the printed photo of her and Matthew talking at the gate. John, where did you get this photo? Emily has a gift for photography. She's a valuable collaborator. Emily waved from the corner, holding a disposable camera. Hi, Miss Mitchell. The project's going really well. We already have 15 votes for the Originality Prize. Lauren covered her face with the clipboard. John continued the presentation. As I was saying, Subject B shows an interesting pattern of talking to herself when nervous. This was documented on 7 separate occasions. 7? Lauren asked, still hiding behind the clipboard. 7. I have witnesses. 3 children raised their hands to confirm. Matthew looked at Lauren. Lauren looked at Matthew. Both were equally red. This is embarrassing, she whispered. Very, he agreed. Everyone's watching. I know. What do we do? I have no idea. John cleared his throat. If subjects A and B could stop whispering, I'd like to continue with the live demonstration. Live demonstration? Matthew asked, alarmed. Yes, phase 10 of the plan. Observation of interaction in a public setting. John, there is no phase 10. There is. It's on the schedule. Page 4. He showed a notebook with detailed notes. A teacher from another class came over. This project is fascinating. Is it about behavioral psychology? It's about how my dad is slow to start dating, John explained. The teacher looked at Matthew. Matthew wished the floor would open up. I'm the dad, he confirmed, unnecessarily. And this is subject A? Apparently. And who is subject B? John pointed the laser at Lauren. Right there, in the floral dress, trying to hide behind the clipboard. Lauren slowly lowered the clipboard. Hi, she said with an awkward wave. The teacher smiled. This is adorable. This is public humiliation, Matthew corrected. Both things can exist at the same time, John said. It's science. The school principal appeared, drawn by the crowd. What do we have here? A project about adult behavior, John explained, with real data, charts, and evidence-based conclusions. Interesting. What's the conclusion? John took a deep breath. He looked at his dad. He looked at Lauren. He looked at the audience. The conclusion is that adults complicate simple things. When two people like each other, they should just admit it and move forward. But no, they make up excuses, avoid conversations, turn red, trip over desks, and pretend they're fine when they clearly aren't. Silence. John continued. My hypothesis is that adults are afraid. Afraid to try, afraid to mess up, afraid to feel. But fear shouldn't win. Because when you find someone who makes you laugh, who makes you want to be better, who makes you forget to check your phone, you should fight for it. Even if it's scary. Matthew felt his chest tighten. Lauren felt her eyes sting. The whole gym was silent. John looked straight at his dad. My mom taught me that love is always worth it, even when it hurts, even when it's scary, even when you don't know what's going to happen. A tear ran down Matthew's face. He didn't wipe it. So, John concluded, switching back to his professional tone, my scientific recommendation is that Subject A and Subject B stop being scared and enjoy their dinner tonight. End of presentation. Any questions? The audience applauded. The principal applauded. Emily took a picture. Matthew walked up to the table, stepped behind the project display, and hugged his son. You're terrible, he whispered. I know. And brilliant. I know that too. Your mom would have loved this. John hugged tighter. I know, Dad, that's why I did it. Lauren walked over, discreetly wiping her eyes. John, that was embarrassing? Beautiful. John smiled. Thank you, Miss Mitchell. Now you two have a dinner to get ready for, and I have an originality prize to win. He adjusted his bow tie and turned to the next group of visitors. Matthew and Lauren stood side by side. So, she said, we're officially a case study. With charts and everything, and photos. Emily's a dedicated photographer. Lauren laughed. Your son is amazing. My son is a tornado disguised as a child. Both. Matthew looked at her. Still on for dinner? More than ever. Even after being exposed to the whole school? Especially after that, she smiled. There's nothing left to hide. Matthew felt his chest lighter. 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Italian restaurant. I'll wear the blue dress just like John suggested. He's going to be proud. He already is. On the other side of the gym, John watched them talking. Emily came up beside him. Did it work? It worked. Phase 10 complete. And now, John smiled, now it's phase 11. Make sure the dinner is perfect. How are you going to do that? I have a plan. You always have a plan. It's my charm. He picked up his little notebook and wrote, Phase 10, controlled public exposure, complete success. Phase 11, dinner. Preparations underway. And underneath in large letters, Phase 12, make Dad officially ask her to be his girlfriend. Only 2 phases left, and John didn't plan to fail either of them. Matthew changed shirts for the 6th time in 20 minutes. John was sitting on his dad's bed, timing him. That one's worse than the last. You said that about the last 4. Because it was true. Dad, wear the blue one. Emily already approved the blue one. Miss Mitchell is going to wear a blue dress. You'll match. It's cute. I don't want to be cute. What do you want to be then? Matthew looked in the mirror. Presentable. You're a billionaire. You're automatically presentable. It doesn't work like that. It does. I looked it up. Matthew took a deep breath, grabbed the blue shirt, and put it on. John nodded. Perfect. Now your hair. What about my hair? It's messy. It's the style. It's sloppy. There's a difference. Matthew ran his hand through his hair. John rolled his eyes, got off the bed, and walked over with a comb. Lean down. Matthew obeyed. John fixed his hair with professional precision. Done. Now you look like a functional human being. Thanks, I think. The doorbell rang. That's Emily's mom, John said. I'll be over there so you two have privacy. Don't thank me. It's part of phase 11. You'll be okay? Dad, I'm gonna eat pizza, play video games, and stay up late. I'll be more than okay. Matthew smiled. Thanks, son. Don't mess this up, okay? John walked to the door and stopped. Dad? Yes, Mom would like to see you happy. Matthew felt a tightness in his chest. I know. Then go and be happy. John ran down the stairs before Matthew could answer. 6:53 p.m. Matthew grabbed his keys, checked his pocket 3 times to make sure his wallet was there, and left. Lauren's apartment was 12 minutes away by car. Matthew made it in 8. He parked in front, checked his hair in the mirror, checked again, got out of the car, walked to the door, rang the bell, waited. The door opened, and Matthew forgot how to breathe. Lauren was wearing the blue dress, hair down, small earrings, a nervous smile that matched his perfectly. Hi, she said. Hi, he replied. Silence. You look beautiful, Matthew said. You look nice. The blue shirt was a good choice. John picked it. Emily suggested the dress. They planned this. Definitely. More silence. Shall we? Matthew asked. Let's go. He opened the car door for her. She got in. He walked around, sat in the driver's seat, and started the car. Didn't move. Matthew? Yes? You need to drive so we can get to the restaurant. I know. He took a deep breath. I'm nervous. Me too. That helps. It does. At least it's not just me. Lauren laughed. It's definitely not just you. Matthew drove to the pier. The Italian restaurant was at the end, with a view of the ocean. Candlelit tables, soft music, the kind of place that exists in romantic movies. The maitre d' led them to the corner table. Perfect view of the sunset. They sat down, opened the menus, closed the menus. I can't read, Lauren admitted. I'm too nervous. Me too. The letters are blurry. Maybe we need glasses, or less anxiety, or wine. Wine sounds like a good idea. Matthew called the waiter, ordered a bottle of red wine, 2 plates of spaghetti. Without thinking, Lauren raised an eyebrow. You ordered for me? Sorry, habit. You always ordered spaghetti. That was 15 years ago. Did it change? No, I still love spaghetti. Then I got it right. This time. The wine arrived, the waiter poured, they toasted. To what? Lauren asked. To new beginnings. To new beginnings. Their glasses touched. They drank. The silence that followed was different than before. Lighter, more comfortable. So, Lauren said, here we are. Here we are, 15 years later. Feels like more and less at the same time. I know what you mean. Matthew turned his wine glass between his fingers. Lauren, I have to tell you something. What is it? I wrote poems about you when I was 17. Lauren's eyes widened. Poems 3. Terrible ones. I burned them all. Why did you burn them? Because they were embarrassing, and because I didn't want anyone to know. And why are you telling me now? Matthew looked at her. Because I don't want to hide anything anymore. Not from you. Lauren felt her heart speed up. Matthew. I know it's early. I know it's complicated. I know your student is my son and the whole school saw that project today. But I also know I haven't felt this way in a long time. And I don't want to lose it. Lose what? You. The words hung between them. Lauren set her glass on the table, took a deep breath, whispered softly, Don't cry, Lauren. Don't cry. You're wearing mascara. It'll smudge. Breathe. He said beautiful things. You can answer without sounding foolish. Try. I heard all of that, Matthew said. I know. I can't help it. I know. It's one of the things I like most about you. Lauren laughed. A teary, shaky laugh. You're really good with words. Only with you. With investors, I use charts. Charts work too. John already made charts about us. That didn't work so well. Lauren burst out laughing. The food arrived, they ate, talked about everything and nothing, about the years that had passed, about San Francisco and Santa Barbara, about John and school, about fears and hopes, about the pier 15 years ago and the pier now. When they finished, the sun had already set. The candles were the only light. Want to take a walk? Matthew asked. I do. He paid the bill. They stepped out. The pier was almost empty, just a few people walking, the sound of waves, the smell of salt. They walked side by side, their shoulders touching. Matthew? Yes? I wrote things about you too. Poems? Letters that I never sent. Why didn't you send them? Because you left, and I didn't know if you wanted to hear from me. Matthew stopped walking, turned to her. I would have wanted to. I know, now I know. They were close, very close. The breeze blowing gently, the ocean murmuring in the background. Lauren? Yes? I'm gonna kiss you now? Is that a warning? It's a request for permission. Permission granted. Matthew leaned in, Lauren closed her eyes, and when their lips met, 15 years disappeared. The kiss was shy at first, gentle, careful, as if they were both afraid of breaking something. Then it grew more certain, more present, more real. When they pulled apart, Lauren was smiling. "Wow," she said. "Wow," he agreed. "That was long overdue?" "I was going to say perfect, but long overdue works too." Matthew laughed. He took her hand. They kept walking down the pier. Matthew's phone vibrated in his pocket. He ignored it. It vibrated again. He pulled it out and looked at the screen. Text from John. "Well, did you kiss her yet?" Matthew showed it to Lauren, embraced her. She laughed out loud. He typed, "Yes." The reply came in 2 seconds. Phase 11 complete. "Dad, I'm proud of you. Now on to Phase 12. Don't mess it up." Matthew put the phone away. "Phase 12? Lauren asked. "I'm afraid to find out." "Me too." They looked at each other and laughed together. Because some things don't need to be explained, just lived. John opened the front door at 7:42 a.m. on Saturday and found his dad smiling at his phone like a love-struck teenager. That was all he needed to know. "It worked," he said, dropping his backpack on the couch. Matthew put his phone away too quickly. "What worked?" "The dinner. The kiss. All of Phase 11. "How do you know about the kiss?" "You confirmed it by text last night." I said yes. I didn't give details. "Dad, you're smiling at your phone at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. You hate Saturday mornings. You hate smiling before coffee. The math is simple." Matthew tried to look serious. He failed. John punched the air. "I knew it. I knew it. Phase 11, complete with flying colors." "Stop talking about phases." "I can't. We still have Phase 12 left." "What is Phase 12? John smiled mysteriously. "You'll see, Dad." "Tell me." "No, I'm your father. And I'm your romantic strategist. We each have our role." Matthew gave up. "Want pancakes?" "I do, and I want dinner details while you cook." "I'm not giving details." "I'll ask Miss Mitchell on Monday then." "You wouldn't." "Dad, I made a science project about the two of you." "Of course I would." Matthew turned to the kitchen. John followed, triumphant. Monday arrived sunny and full of trouble. Matthew dropped John off at school at 7:53, parked in the usual spot, got out to say goodbye, and saw Lauren at the school entrance. She waved, he waved back. John watched. "Dad, you two are waving like old movie couples. It's embarrassing." "It's not embarrassing, it is. Go talk to her." "I can't go talk to her." "Why not?" "Because people are watching." John looked around. At least 8 moms were watching, 3 of them whispering. "Dad, everyone already knows." "Knows what?" "About the project, the dinner. You two?" "The moms group chat has been on fire since Friday." "How do you know about the group chat?" "Emily shows me the screenshots. Want to see?" "No." "There's even a poll on when you two will make it official. Most voted for this week." Matthew felt his face heat up. "This is a privacy invasion." "This is Santa Barbara, small town, Dad. News travels fast." Lauren started walking toward them. John smiled. "Look, she's coming. Try not to freeze this time." "I don't freeze. You froze on the first day. You said, 'You hear teacher's son, yes.' It became legend. Nobody remembers that." "Everyone remembers. Emily even wrote a song." Lauren arrived before Matthew could answer. "Good morning," she said, smiling. "Good morning," Matthew replied, also smiling. John stood between them, looking from one to the other. "You two are terrible at being discreet." "We're not being indiscreet," Lauren said. "Yes, you are. You're both smiling like fools in the middle of the parking lot while 10 people are watching." Matthew looked around. The moms waved. He waved back automatically. "See?" John said. "Now you've waved at the witnesses." "John, go to class." "Fine. But only because I want to see the class's reaction when I tell them you're dating." "We're not," Matthew started. "Not officially yet," John corrected, "but Phase 12 will fix that." He ran off before either of them could ask anything else. Lauren and Matthew were alone, relatively alone, with 10 people watching. "So," Lauren said softly, "seems like everyone knows. Looks like it. How are you feeling?" "Strangely okay." "Strangely? I thought I'd care more. About the looks, the comments." "And you don't?" Matthew looked at her. "Not when you're next to me." Lauren blushed. "That's very romantic for a Monday morning. Sorry, I can save the romance for more appropriate times." "No, I liked it." One of the moms walked past and smiled. "Good morning, lovebirds." Matthew choked. Lauren smiled politely. "Good morning, Mrs. Patterson." Mrs. Patterson winked and kept walking. "She called us a couple," Matthew said. She did. In public. In public. How are you so calm? Lauren took a deep breath. I'm not calm. I'm pretending. Inside, I'm freaking out. She whispered. Breathe, Lauren. Everyone's watching. You're a professional. Professionals don't panic in parking lots. Professionals smile and wave. I heard all of that. I know. I can't help it. Matthew laughed. I really like you. I really like you too, even if it means being gossip in the mom's group chat. We can handle gossip. Can we? We survived John's project. We can survive anything. Lauren laughed out loud. The bell rang. I have to go, she said. Me too. Meeting at 9. See you later. Dinner? Tonight, if you want. I do. Then dinner. Dinner. They stood still, wanting to kiss, knowing they couldn't. Not there. Not with 10 people watching. This is torture, Matthew said. Total torture. See you later. See you later. Matthew walked back to his car. Lauren went into the school. The moms watched everything. In the group chat, a new poll popped up. When will they kiss in public? Most voted before the end of the week. Inside the school, John walked into class like a victorious general. Emily ran over to him. So, did it work? It worked. They're officially together. Now they just have to make it official. When will that be? Phase 12, this week. What's Phase 12? John smiled. Phase 12 is getting my dad to stop being a coward and ask her to be his girlfriend in front of everyone. How are you going to do that? I have a plan. You always have a plan. It's my superpower. The math teacher walked into the room. John sat down, but his mind was somewhere else. Phase 12. The final phase. The phase that would change everything. And he already knew exactly how he was going to make it happen. Lauren burned the rice for the 3rd time in 2 weeks. Smoke rose, the fire alarm went off, and John appeared in the kitchen holding a fire extinguisher no one knew existed. I brought backup, he announced. Where did you get that? Matthew asked, opening all the windows. Under the sink. You should know your own house better, Dad. Lauren stood in the middle of the kitchen, holding a charred pan, looking like she just lost an important battle. I just wanted to make a special dinner. You did, John said. Specially burned. John, Matthew warned. What? It's true. But don't worry, Miss Mitchell. My dad can't cook either. You two are a perfect match. 3 weeks had passed since the first kiss at the pier. 3 weeks of dinners, conversations, laughter, and a closeness that grew stronger each day. Lauren spent more and more time at the Cross House. Matthew smiled more and more. And John observed more and more. Dad, order pizza, he suggested. Miss Mitchell needs an emotional win after that kitchen defeat. I don't need an emotional win, Lauren protested. You're hugging a burnt pot like it's an injured baby. Lauren looked down. She was. She let go of the pot. Okay, pizza. Matthew grabbed his phone to place the order. John pulled Lauren over to the couch. Miss Mitchell, can I be honest with you? You're always honest, John, sometimes too honest. It's a gift. He sat down next to her. You're trying too hard. What do you mean? The rice, Tuesday's dinner, Sunday's cake that turned into charcoal. You're trying to prove something. Lauren stayed quiet. John was 9, but he had the insight of a seasoned therapist. I just want to do things right, she admitted. Why? Because I like your dad, and you, and I don't want to mess this up. John nodded. You won't mess it up. How do you know? Because my dad smiles more now, and he didn't smile much before. And if you can make him smile, then you're already doing it right, even if the rice burns. Lauren felt her eyes sting. Thank you, John. You're welcome. Now stop burning food. You're scaring the smoke alarm. Matthew came back from the kitchen. Pizza will be here in 30 minutes. Perfect, John said. Just enough time for you two to have an adult conversation while I pretend to do homework. What adult conversation? Matthew asked. I don't know, but Miss Mitchell looks like she needs to talk, and you look like you haven't noticed, so I'm pointing it out. He grabbed his notebook and went to his room. Matthew sat beside Lauren. What happened? Nothing. Lauren? Really? Nothing. You're hugging a pillow like it's a shield. Lauren looked down. She was. I seem to have a thing with objects, apparently. Matthew laughed. Tell me. Lauren took a deep breath. I'm scared. Of what? Of everything. Of messing this up, of not being good enough, of you realizing I burn rice, talk to myself, and have zero domestic skills. I already know all that. And that doesn't scare you? Why would it? Because you're you. Organized, successful, with a perfect life. Matthew burst out laughing. Lauren, my life is not perfect. I work too much, sleep too little, and my 9-year-old son is more mature than I am in at least 80% of situations. But you always seem so in control. Looking like you're in control and actually being in control are two different things. He took her hand. Half the time, I'm just pretending I know what I'm doing. Really? Really? Especially now. Now? With you. He looked into her eyes. Lauren, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't dated in 3 years. I forgot how it works. But I know that when I'm with you, everything feels lighter. Even the hard things. Lauren felt her chest tighten. Matthew, I don't want you to be perfect. I want you to be you, burnt rice and all. That's very romantic for a conversation about kitchen disasters. I have my moments. Lauren laughed, a teary, shaky laugh. I like you, she said. A lot. It's scary how much I like you. I like you too. A lot. And I'm scared too. So we're scared together. Sounds like a good place to be. The doorbell rang. Pizza, John shouted from his room. I'll let you finish talking later. Matthew got up to answer. Lauren stayed on the couch, smiling. John appeared at the doorway. All settled? All settled. Great. Phase 12 is almost complete. What is Phase 12 anyway? John smiled. You'll find out soon enough. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Matthew came back with the pizzas. They ate on the couch, watching a movie John picked, one no one really paid attention to. Lauren leaned against Matthew. John sat on the floor without us, pretending not to glance at them every 5 minutes. When the movie ended, John yawned dramatically. I'm tired. Going to bed. Don't do anything embarrassing while I'm not looking. John, Matthew said. Good night, Dad. Good night, Miss Mitchell. He went upstairs. Matthew and Lauren were alone. Your son is amazing, she said. He's terrible. Both. In equal measure. Lauren rested her head on his shoulder. Matthew? Yes? I don't want to leave. Then don't. Really? Really, stay. Lauren smiled. Okay, I'll stay. From the top of the stairs, John watched in secret. He took out his notebook and wrote, Phase 12 in progress. Completion expected soon. Projected outcome, complete family. And below that, in smaller letters, Mom, I think I did it. He closed the notebook and went to bed, smiling. The note appeared in John's backpack at 8:30 Thursday morning. Adult handwriting this time. Careful, a little shaky. John, I need your help. Phase 12, today. Meet me in the car after school. Don't tell anyone. Dad. John read it 3 times, smiled, put the note in his pocket, and he spent the whole day pretending he didn't know anything. At 3:45, he got in the car with the expression of a secret agent about to start a mission. Dad? John? I got the note. I know I sent it. Phase 12? Phase 12. John buckled his seatbelt. Finally, I thought you'd never take the initiative. I was waiting for the right moment. Dad, the right moment was 3 weeks ago, but fine. Better late than never. Matthew took a deep breath. I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. Officially? Officially. In front of everyone? I was thinking something more private. John frowned. Private is boring. Private is romantic. Dad, you're already the gossip of the whole school. Everyone's waiting for the official moment. If you do this in secret, you'll disappoint at least 40 people. 40? The moms, the teachers, the cafeteria staff, the janitor. Everyone's rooting for you. It's practically a sporting event. Matthew leaned his head on the steering wheel. My life has become a soap opera. It has, and the audience wants an exciting ending. So what do you suggest? John smiled. I have a plan. Of course you do. Tomorrow is reading day at school. All the parents were invited to read stories with their kids. There'll be a stage set up in the library, performances, everyone gathered. And Miss Mitchell is opening the event. She's going to give an introduction about the importance of reading. After she finishes, you go up on stage. And do what? Ask her out, in front of everyone. Matthew felt his stomach drop. That's crazy. That's romantic. That's public humiliation if she says no. Dad, she won't say no. She loves you. Everyone knows it. Even the fridge knows it. The fridge? She talks to the fridge about you. I heard it last week. Matthew stayed quiet. And Dad, trust me, when have I been wrong? Do you want a chronological list or by severity? Neither, just trust me. Matthew looked at his son, 9 years old, too wise, too brave. All right, he said, tomorrow, in the library. John punched the air. Phase 12 official will need flowers. Flowers? Lilies. She likes lilies. How do you know that? Dad, I know everything. You should have figured that out by now. Friday arrived sunny and full of anticipation. The school library had been transformed. Shelves decorated with colorful posters, pillows scattered on the floor, a small stage in the center with a microphone and a reading chair. Parents and children sat in a semicircle, waiting for the event to start. Matthew was hiding behind a set of encyclopedias, holding a bouquet of white lilies and trying not to faint. "Dad, you look green," John said. "I'm nervous." "Breathe." "I am breathing." "Breathe better." "How do you breathe better?" "I don't know, but you need to figure it out in the next 5 minutes. Lauren stepped up to the stage. She wore a light blue dress and a simple pearl necklace. She held a children's book to her chest. "Good morning, everyone," she began, smiling. "Today we celebrate something magical, reading, the stories that transport us, teach us, and connect us." Matthew didn't hear the rest. He was too busy trying not to have a heart attack. John nudged his arm. "Dad, she's finishing. Get ready." "I can't." "Yes, you can. What if I forget what I'm going to say?" "Improvise." "I'm terrible at improvising." "You improvised a ham sandwich as an excuse to come to school. You can improvise anything." Lauren finished her introduction. "And now let's begin our readings. The first parent to come up is..." "Go," John pushed Matthew. Matthew stepped out from behind the shelf. People started to notice. Whispers began. Lauren frowned as she saw Matthew walking toward her with flowers. "Matthew, what are you doing?" He walked up the 2 steps to the stage, stood in front of her, held the lilies like a shield. "Lauren?" "Yes." Silence. 80 people watching. Children sitting on pillows. The janitor appeared in the doorway to film. "Lauren," Matthew repeated, "I had a speech prepared." "You did?" "I did. It was memorized. It was beautiful. It had metaphors about books and new chapters. And I forgot everything." Laughter filled the room. Lauren bit her lip. "Then, improvise." "I'm terrible at improvising." "I know, but try." Matthew took a deep breath. "Lauren Mitchell, a month ago, I walked into this school to pick up my son and froze at the door to your classroom. Since then, I've tripped over desks, made up excuses with ham lunches, been exposed in a science project, and become gossip in the mom's group chat." "That's true," a mom shouted from the back. "And all this time," Matthew continued, "I've realized you're the most amazing person I've ever met. You talk to yourself, you burn rice, you talk to the fridge about organizing shelves." Lauren blushed. "You heard that?" "John told me." "Of course he did. But none of that matters, because when I'm with you, everything makes sense, even the parts that didn't before." Lauren felt her eyes welling up. "Matthew, I don't want to pretend we're just friends anymore. I don't want secret dates and hidden glances. I want everyone to know." He held out the lilies. "Lauren Mitchell, will you be my girlfriend? Officially? In front of 80 witnesses, 20 kids, and a janitor who's recording everything?" The entire library held its breath. Lauren looked at Matthew. She looked at the lilies. She looked at the crowd of parents and kids. She whispered to herself, "Say yes, Lauren. Say yes." He's holding flowers, pretty flowers. He memorized a speech about books and forgot it. That's adorable. Say yes before he faints on reading day. "I heard all of that," Matthew said. "I know." "So?" Lauren smiled. "Yes." The library erupted in applause. The kids clapped without fully understanding why. The janitor shouted, "I knew it!" And John suddenly appeared on stage holding a sign that read, "Phase 12 complete, mission accomplished." Matthew hugged Lauren. Lauren kissed Matthew. 80 people clapped even louder. One child shouted, "Ew, kiss him." Another shouted, "Cool." John held the sign higher. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "after 1 month of planning, 12 execution phases, and countless embarrassing moments, I'm proud to report that my dad finally stopped being a coward." "John," Matthew said, still holding Lauren. "What?" "It's true, but I'm proud of you, Dad." Matthew looked at his son. "Thank you, John, for everything." "You're welcome. Now kiss again. The janitor's still filming and kids need to learn about happy endings." Lauren laughed. Matthew kissed her again. The applause kept going. 6 months later, Lauren woke up to the smell of burnt pancakes. Never a good sign. She walked down the stairs of Matthew's house, now her house too, and found father and son in the kitchen, covered in flour, standing over a smoking pan, looking defeated. "Good morning," she said. "What's going on here?" "Surprise breakfast," John explained. But the surprise turned into a disaster. "I can see that." Matthew wiped flour from his face. "We wanted to do something special." "Why?" John and Matthew exchanged glances. "John, show her," Matthew said. John opened a drawer and took out a small velvet box. Lauren stopped breathing. "Matthew, I know it might seem soon," he said. "I know we've been dating for 6 months. I know you might think it's crazy, Matthew, but I also know I don't want to spend another day without you. Not one. And I know John agrees because he helped me pick the ring." "It's true," John confirmed. "We went to 7 jewelry stores. Dad cried in 3. I did not cry." "Yes, you did. I have pictures." Lauren laughed, a teary, emotional laugh. Matthew knelt on the kitchen floor between spilled flour and burnt pancakes. "Lauren Mitchell, will you marry me?" John held up another sign. This one said, "Bonus phase. Say yes." Lauren looked at the two of them. The man she loved. The boy who had planned it all. The ruined kitchen. The ring sparkling in the box. She whispered to herself, "Say yes, Lauren. You love him. You love John. You even love this messy kitchen. Say yes. Say it before you start crying ugly." "I heard that," Matthew said. "I know." She wiped her eyes. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." Matthew slipped the ring on her finger. John pumped his fist in the air. "Bonus phase complete. We're officially a family now." Matthew hugged Lauren. Lauren hugged John. John allowed it for exactly 5 seconds before complaining. "Okay, that's enough emotion. The pancakes are cold and I'm hungry." Matthew laughed. "Let's order breakfast." "Good idea," Lauren said. "You two are banned from cooking without supervision." "Fair," John agreed. They sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by flour and chaos, laughing about everything and nothing. And there, on that messy Saturday morning, 3 people who had found each other by chance learned that family isn't about perfection. It's about choosing. About waking up every day and deciding to stay. About burning rice, forgetting speeches, and loving anyway. Matthew looked at Lauren. Lauren looked at John. John looked at both of them and smiled. "You know I'm going to tell this whole story at the wedding, right? With slides and graphs and the janitor's video. Would we expect anything less?" Matthew asked. "No," Lauren said. "Definitely not." And so, between laughter and cold pancakes, their forever began. Not at the altar, not with a white dress and orchestral music, but right there, in that kitchen, on that morning, with flour in their hair and love in their hearts. Because some stories don't need perfect endings. They just need imperfect people who choose to stay. Every day, forever. What did you think of the story about the billionaire who froze at the door? And John's phases?
Join the conversation. Your comments and engagement are part of the healing process. Let us know your thoughts below. If this journey of resilience and turning pain into power resonated with your heart, please support Healing Stories. Subscribe. Help us build a sanctuary of strength by subscribing to the channel. Share the hope. Give this video a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this message of recovery and justice. Your support allows us to continue sharing powerful narratives of overcoming trauma and finding peace. Subscribe to Healing Stories and be part of the change.